Hello, aloha. I'm Joe Barresi. This is my studio. This is my friend Cesar. Plays guitar with Ministry. Plays guitar like nobody's business. So we can sit here and enjoy him all day today. Maybe not all day, but just wanted to do a little demo for Maag Audio for the PreQ2 right here, which I have a single rack space one, which I kind of went back and forth a little with the guys. They were very nice to send me a couple of prototypes. And not only does it have the Maag sound, which honestly I love. I have lots of mic pre's, but this is a fat mic pre. I think a lot of times when you see the air band, you think, all right, it's just going to be bright, but this is a super thick, fat mic pre. This particular unit itself, the interesting thing about this new unit is not only does it have the air band, but it also has the low frequency. So you can dial in sub stuff as well, some really tasty low frequencies here. You've got a variable high pass, which is cool. You've got their, normal stuff that's on a mic pre, the Phantom and the Phase and stuff like that, but you got a 20 dB pad that's really nice. You've also got an extra gain switch that knocks up your level if you're recording low-level stuff, which has saved my ass quite a bit. Sometimes you just don't have time to start messing around. You just hit that pop, you pop that guy in, you get a lot of extra gain. It sounds great. You're recording over your tape machine noise. This one actually has a mic and a line switch on it. But the interesting thing, besides the XLR input on the back, you also have a instrument input. And then you also have an instrument through, which is super cool. So like a lot of times I'll record a single full robust vocal sound and then, take some time later and reamp it through an amp or distort it or whatever. But the cool thing is I can do that at the same time with this. I can record a nice, beautiful, pristine vocal and feed the instrument through to a little guitar amp, mic it up, run it into the other side. You could do all kinds of stuff. We're going to demo it with a couple different things today. Caesar's playing a Dunable Narwhal, which is one of my favorite guitarists, possibly my favorite guitar.
Me too.
Ever, right now. It's incredible. And we're using solid cable, guitar cable. And we're going into my friend Johnny, which is back there. You'll probably see a picture of it later. My friend Johnny Tokarski JT amps into a 50-watt amp that he built, prototype, into a Mesa 4x12 with a single SM57 on it, on a speaker, which I spent maybe 3 seconds miking up. I just shoved it in front. And that 57 is feeding the left side of this preamp. And then I'm just taking the instrument through and I'm feeding it into guitar pedals so I can record them separately. This is a Jessup typo negative chorus pedal, which is fantastic, which you will hear. And basically the instrument through is at a set level. So you can change your mic level as much as you want, but the instrument through is going to be at a set level to feed your pedals, amplifiers, whatever external signal chain you're doing. And it can come back in. I'm running it back into the instrument input. I've got all the features still available here as well as on the instrument input. So I've got separate padding, I got separate gain, I got the extra gain, I got the phase, I've got the EQ, I've got whatever I need there. So this is basically just a fairly simple setup and something that I do quite often because normally you used to have to reamp stuff, but now I don't really. I could kind of do it live. I mean, the importance of this is you get inspired by the sound. Like back in the old days, we used to record, if you were harmonizing a vocal, you would put that harmonizer in the singer's headphones. That way he could feed off or she could feed off the sound of the headphones, as opposed to, hey, this is sing it, but pretend like it's going to be like this later. So you don't have to do any of that. You don't have to reamp it, whatever. We're doing it live right now. Caesar's playing guitar. We have one mic going to a single channel. We're reamping it through this pedal. I can blend it in if I want through an external mixer, or what I'm doing is keeping it separate so I can add the chorus in on certain parts of the song. So just check it out real quick if you want to play. This is just a straight up mic pre 57. Yeah, we're recording it. And then I'm gonna kick in this chorus, and right here, if I unmute it, So that's a way cooler sound. Now, if I was like, you know, non-committal, I could print it on a separate track. Me personally, I would be running this thing into a little mixer, a 2x1 or the Neve or anything like this Heritage or whatever, and busting it down to one track. But I have a complete separate control of this. Pretty cool. And if you want to get full on heavy and dirty, it's TSOL. And you can hear it if I flip the phase. So we know it's in phase. We have our high pass if we want to get rid of some of this stuff. So I'm going to mute it real quick. Okay, so the cool other thing about this, obviously, single rack space preamp, 2 channels with EQ as well. So I'm gonna kick the high pass in, which I don't usually high pass a lot of stuff during the tracking section. When usually in mixing I will. And the beauty of this preamp is you can use it for mixing as well. It has a line input, so you can literally take your stuff off a tape, off your Pro Tools or DAW, whatever, and re-EQ it later. But right now, I mean, it's a pretty cool guitar sound straight up. Giving a little more edge, you know, just the Airband is a really exceptional EQ. You can open up the 40. And while none of us except my dog can really hear probably 40K, all those harmonics that happen are filtered down. So all the, you know, the 20s, the 10s, the 5s, anything below it. And also the other cool part is this particular one has the sub frequencies. Pretty cool guitar sound, but when I add that EQ, I'm fattening it up right now. I got a little bit of clarity at the top end. And I'm rolling a little bit of 60. That sound all right over there? All right, there you have it. I mean, the interesting thing about this is that it's just a super easy mic pre with extra features. Like a lot of times you buy mic pre's and they're just preamps, but this particular preamp has EQ, which is fantastic. It also has the line input, which is great for after the fact. I personally never usually take DIs unless I'm like super quick and I just think I'm going to manipulate sound later. I recently did some cellos through this mic pre, which was fantastic because the cellist sat right there. And there's a pickup screwed to the bridge of the cello, which I recorded through a direct box. And so I had that feed clean. And then I used a microphone close to the cello, which came into the left side of the Maag preamp. And then I took the instrument through, or the mic and instrument through on here, and fed it into a guitar pedal that fed a guitar amp that fed a Rivera Rock Crusher. And I was just basically recording the guitar amp without a speaker through the Rock Crusher as an attenuator into an Avitas mic pre, which was kind of interesting because I'm using the mic itself to reamp and not just the guitar or whatever, you know. So it's pretty interesting. So right now I'm just going to take this 1/4 inch, record instrument input, or record a direct guitar. Let me just see if I can get a level here. Oh yeah, that's too hot. So they don't need all that gain. How about that? Let me see that. Yeah, okay. So basically you're gonna hear just some direct guitar. And then I'm just feeding the instrument through into the ministry pedal. And that's going right back into sort of what we did with the chorus pedal before. Into the instrument input. What's our level look like? It's pretty hot too. And this is just so we can get a little dirty sound instantly. And then if I kick this guy in, you're hearing the direct and the amp at the same time. We can see what the phase is like. Take the EQ out, and if I mute the DI, I don't know if you want to dial this in at all, but maybe you can explain this pedal. This is a custom ministry pedal.
So the left side of the pedal is basically a just a preamp, so you can send that into an amps, any power amp really, and an effects return, right? Yeah. You could use an effects return on any amp that has an effects loop to use the power amp. The right side is just going to be an overdrive, just so you can hit the front of that preamp and give it a little extra oomph to it. There's a position switch here that just gives it a bit of mids. Down position, I believe there's a little bit of sag. Up position is a little bit tighter, a little bit more of a mid in there. So that's pretty much about it. Just the dual.
So I'm gonna. And I would use stuff like this. A lot of times I'm just trying to get an idea down really quick, or I'm looking for a direct guitar sound. So I've got a DI in case I decide later I want to pump it through an amplifier, mic it up, go through the whole noise, or the idea of putting a mic and moving it around, or for right now. And this is something I would do as an enforcer, I call it. It's like a third track of guitar that I might put on top of 2 rhythm tracks up the middle to give it some definition and some weight, some edge. You can totally tweak this in and dial it. So technically, if we had some rhythm guitars already cut on a song, I might go, all right, let's fatten up these couple of parts right here. And I would do something like this, take the DI, reamp it instantly through the preamp. Let's see what happens if we get both. And you can really kind of tweak this in a track. Pretty instant main guitar sound as an additional overdub on top of to add the weight that we need to some guitar parts. Something I do a lot. I do it mostly with direct or a guitar amp into like a Rivera Rock Crusher, where it's different. It's not coming through a speaker. It's not the same amplifier. It's not the same microphone. A lot of times you get buildup in a lot of the same frequencies when you use the same stuff all the time. So if I was to record, a couple of rhythm guitars on a song, it would go through a couple different speakers, maybe a couple different guitars, a couple different mic combinations. But on top of that, instead of a triple track being the same stuff, I would a lot of times favor going direct or using an amp into a Rock Crusher. The Rivera Rock Crusher just attenuates and gives you a nice speaker emulated output, or something like this where I'm taking the guitar direct as well as pumping it through a pedal and adding that grit and that edge to make stuff poke out. It's really great on guitar solos. It's one of those things that, like, I'm old, so when I grew up listening to like Rick Derringer and Styx, you can hear these guitar sounds that just come up in your face And it's usually a result of adding some direct in to the actual mic'd guitar sound. So that's where I started doing stuff like this. And Cesar was nice enough to give me one of his pedals. But pretty rad guitar sound coming straight through. Cool. And this is just straight into a mic pre. This is not even into a guitar amp or an effects return. It's a preamp, but I'm just using it as color into a mic pre. So we're just distorting a direct signal, which is pretty rad. Any questions?